I'm Heather, and this is a Living with Addiction podcast, where I show you how you have more power than you realize when it comes to helping yourself and your child that's struggling with addiction. Good morning. I hope everybody's doing well today. So I want to talk about self-confidence and confidence and what the difference is. I think this is an important topic for every human, but when you have a child struggling with addiction, your thoughts about yourself and your parenting can get pretty brutal. And your self-confidence really takes a beating. So it's important to understand it so you can build it and create more. I also want to take the mystery out of it and make it something that you can create, like lifting weights to build a muscle. You really have to have your own back in life. The common theme that I hear from parents is how alone they feel in their child's addiction. And aloneness is really just a part of the plight of the human condition. It's that duality we feel, the separateness when we really long for connection. But we're even disconnected from ourselves. And I didn't start connecting with myself or even understand what that meant until I started working with the self-coaching model that I talk about in episode 16. And I'm going to talk about it quite a bit in this episode too, because it creates a great example for what I'm trying to share with you today. It created a mind-body connection for me. It helped me separate from my thoughts. It gave me insight into my authentic self, so I could peel away all of that conditioning and get to what I really believed. And it showed me how to have my own back. And that's what I love about the model is it meets you right where you are. Doesn't matter who I'm working with or what I'm working with them on. I can meet them right where they are with the model. And it just gives you a clear path to change. And going back to feeling alone, it's something I really used to struggle with. I'm a single mother. I don't get support from my daughter's father. And I've spent a lot of time in the past thinking about how different my life and how different my daughter's life would have been if we had his support financially or emotionally. It would have been different. There's no denying that. But when I focus on that, it just increases my feelings of being alone. And it also focuses me on my powerlessness because I can't change that. Can't change him, can't change anything about him. And the key for me to remember is that it also would have been different if I had had my own support. I want to say that again because I want to make sure you hear it and feel it because I feel that in my soul. I know that it's true. My life and my daughter's life would have been different if we had more of my support. I could have made as much of an impact on our life as her father could have if I was more emotionally healthy. That's the part I could have controlled if I understood, but I didn't understand it, so I felt very alone. Self-confidence was a lot like self-love to me. It was a mystical force that I thought you were either born with or you weren't. I thought of it like height. I'm 5'8". That's it. That's the height that I was born to be. It's finite unless you count high heels. So sometimes I can borrow some height, but it's only temporary and it comes from outside of me. And that's how I felt about confidence because I didn't understand it. I didn't think I could permanently change it. Sometimes I got lucky and I found some confidence outside of myself and I borrowed it, like wearing some high heels to be taller, but I never really got to keep it. Now I know how to create self-confidence, though. So I want to share it with you so that you can create it, so that you can have your own back, so you don't feel so alone, and also so that you can create the results that you want in your life. Because I promise you, having self-confidence and having your own back is better than having anybody else at your side. Yes, you need support. I have my own support team. I've spent years building it, and it grows as I grow. That's the beautiful part. The more I grow and love myself and have more confidence, the more that's reflected back to me with a stronger support team. You're the foundation of the support team. Once you create confidence and you have your own back, then you will feel supported in a way that no one else can give you. And to me, that's beautiful. That's real power and control in your life. So now that we understand why it's so important, let's talk about the difference between confidence and self-confidence. Confidence comes from knowledge and practice. So the more experience you have at something, the more confident you become. Self-confidence is your overall opinion of yourself and your ability to learn and succeed at new challenges, tasks, and opportunities. It's trust in yourself. So, as example, last year I tried stand-up paddleboarding for the first time. I didn't know how to do it because I've never done it before, so I wasn't confident in that skill. But I did have self-confidence. I have great balance. I'm strong. I have endurance. I believe I can figure things out. So I was confident in myself that I could learn the skill pretty easily. And as I practiced, I gained more confidence in my skill of stand-up paddleboarding. Actually, I got it right away. I only fell once because a boat went by me and caused a huge wave that flipped me over. The big thing for me was learning to relax. I was like gripping the board so hard with my feet that they started to cramp. I had to relax my feet and lean into the self-confidence that I could still keep my balance and stand up if I wasn't, gripping for life. And that's the difference. Having confidence in myself made it easy to learn that new skill and become confident in that skill. If I went into that experience feeling like an out of balance train wreck, I wouldn't have learned so easily. I probably would have panicked every time I started to lose my balance and made myself fall, but I didn't because I believe I have good balance. Self-trust is an important part of self-confidence. And this is another area where I see a lot of my clients really struggle. If you struggle to make decisions or do everything you can to avoid them, it's because you don't trust yourself to make the right decision. Your ability to trust yourself comes down to knowing that you will do what you have said that you will do, that you will follow through on your plan, that you will take care of yourself. You will do the responsible thing for yourself even when you don't feel like it. Now, this is totally different from saying that you will do something and then hoping that you follow through. This leaves room for self-doubt, which is the opposite of self-confidence. It just erodes your self-confidence. If you can't count on yourself, you will feel insecure and at the effect of yourself instead of in charge, in control, and self-confident. And that's exactly what your relationship with your child needs, by the way, is for everybody, them and you, to feel like you are in control and that you are confident in your ability to handle the situation. But I often hear people say that if they have plans to work out with somebody, they will show up because of their commitment to the other person. But if the other person cancels, they won't show up for themselves. And I used to be one of those people, like I had to have a workout partner to go to the gym or walk. And finding a workout partner that was reliable was hard because I wasn't reliable either. And, I would often hope that they would cancel so that I didn't have to show up for them or myself. That's just not the case anymore, though. Like, I know without a doubt that I'm going to show up for myself because working out is no longer a chore. It's just something I love to do for myself because I love myself. It feels good and my health is important to me. I mean, especially now more than ever. Since my diagnosis, I've been working with a naturopath to optimize my health. I love the sound of that, optimizing my health. Like, it gives me a sense of purpose and control in the situation. And I gave up sugar and flour, and I've lost 20 pounds since mid February. I've made a lot of other changes too, and I'm going to share more about that in the self confidence series I have coming up. But my point in sharing that for the purpose of this conversation is just that I'm showing up for myself because I want to create a high quality life for myself. When you have self confidence, you show up for yourself. You keep promises to yourself. I promised myself that I'd stop eating sugar and flour, and I don't eat sugar and flour. Even when I'm sitting there watching everybody eat cannolis, I still don't eat sugar and flour. In which, by the way, cannolis are like my favorite dessert ever. But the ability to trust yourself starts with consistent follow through on your word to yourself. You aren't born with self confidence. You gain it by keeping your word to yourself so you know you can trust yourself. I mean, some people are just naturally good at that, and others, like me, aren't. But the beauty of what I'm sharing with you is that you can create self confidence. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is what you make something mean and the emotion that creates in your body. Because remember that thoughts release the chemicals that create the emotions you feel as a sensation in your body. Most of us spend too much time in self doubt because we don't know that we can handle anything that comes our way. And despite our fears of being permanently harmed, there is no emotion that we can't feel and process all the way through. When we are willing to experience any emotion and we know it's the worst that can happen, we will be filled with self confidence. The ability to feel is like our safety net for anything that we want to do. It takes the risk out of everything and gives us a bring it on attitude. Like me with the paddleboard, I was just excited to get on there and learn. I was like, bring it on. When I fell, I didn't make it mean I couldn't learn or there was something wrong with me. I just learned to pay more attention to the size of the waves. And then next time I could take a knee so that I could keep my balance until the waves passed. I kept thinking good thoughts about myself even when I fell. I could have thought that I was a failure and quit or just kept falling because I wasn't being confident in myself with the way I was thinking about it. But I just kept keeping thinking good thoughts about myself. And what you think of yourself is what generates or depletes self confidence. So if you think about it, confidence is a feeling, it goes in the feeling line of the self coaching model. And self confidence is also a feeling, it's a feeling about yourself. All of our feelings are going to come from our thoughts. So the way we think about ourselves will determine whether or not we feel confident. A self confident person is going to think that they are good, capable, and worthy. Now, this doesn't have to be proven or true. Self confidence is a feeling that creates a result, and that result doesn't have to be completed perfectly to create the feeling. And I love this part. Self confidence is just a belief, and beliefs are just thoughts we think over and over again. You get to believe whatever you want. Think about a little kid who thinks that they're a great singer or dancer. We don't necessarily think that they're that great at singing and dancing, but they're self confident and they believe that they're great. And that's all that matters. And that line of thinking and way of being is available to us too. I also want to address that this is not arrogance. Arrogance is thinking that you're better than someone else and trying to prove it. It comes from a place of creating false confidence by trying to put somebody else down. You're trying to elevate your opinion of yourself by comparing. So instead of building yourself up, you are putting the other person down. And I mean, that just feels yucky. And arrogance typically comes from a lack of self confidence. Self confidence, when it's genuine, understands that all humans are amazing and capable by appreciating who we are. It doesn't need us to even put others down. We don't have to do that. And I want you to notice that most criticism of others is usually projection. This means we are compensating for our lack of confidence by trying to make ourselves better in our own minds, better than somebody else. Arrogance also denies faults because it can't tolerate feeling rejected. And it's based on fear and not being good enough. But self-confidence says that we are all capable and amazing. Confidence is an abundant feeling, not one of scarcity. So the thing is that most of us aren't self-confident, though, but that's because we don't trust ourselves. We don't understand how to manage our minds, so we feel out of control with our feelings and actions. And again, this is why I love the self-coaching model so much. It teaches you how to manage your mind with your thoughts so you can create feelings that drive actions that you want in your life. It shows you exactly where your control is. It shows you what you can change. But if you don't know how to manage your mind, then you keep letting yourself down because you lack insight into why things aren't working and you don't know how to make true change. It's not that you can't or you aren't capable, you just don't know how. And it's also why we are afraid of feeling our emotions. We run from negative emotions because we feel stuck with them. We don't know how to change or process them. Before I knew that thoughts created feelings, I didn't have a tool for working through unwanted feelings, which I had plenty of when my daughter was blaming me for everything. I took on what she said. I used it against myself. I had horrible negative thoughts about myself that just eroded what little confidence I had. And I didn't know how to build more confidence. I didn't have the self-love to stand in who I was as a mother or a person. So I just defended myself all of the time. And it felt awful to do that. And this is where I see a lot of parents I work with get stuck. Their kids are hurting and desperate. So they lash out at them, and then the parents start blaming themselves. And as long as they're stuck in blame, they can't move into the solution. I really want you to hear that. As long as you're stuck in blame and judgment for yourself or your child, you can't move into the solution. You're stuck in blame. I want you to think of blame like quicksand. Remember all the old movies? And somebody always fell in the quicksand? Blame is like quicksand. You will eventually drown in it. Acceptance is your lifeline out of the quicksand. You need some acceptance for where you are in your life and some compassion for yourself and your child. Then you can start to move forward and build new beliefs and start creating that self-confidence and learning skills for dealing with your child's addiction and gaining confidence in those skills. Now, that was a mouthful, but that's the magic pill that you're searching for. But it's not a magic pill. It takes some work. And so many parents will never get the relief they're seeking because they don't want to hear that that's the answer. They want the answer to be that their child gets sober and happy and that fixes everything. That's just a temporary fix if it happens. And we all have to face the possibility that it might not ever happen for some of our kids. And if it does, eventually the relief and happiness will fade. Then you will start to worry about if they're going to stay sober or not, or something else will move into that worry spot. And you'll find yourself stuck again. You will be blaming something else. Doing all the work that I talk to you about each week is the only ticket to your freedom. Freedom from getting confidence from your child and how their life turns out. Freedom for your child from the pressure they feel from you to give you that self-confidence. What everybody really needs is for you to be whole and complete and confident on your own. That is the best way to help your child. You don't want what I share with you to be the answer, because then you'll have to be the one to do the work. You'll have to face those negative emotions and work through them. That's not because there's something wrong with you. You don't want to avoid that because there's something wrong with you. It's because we're wired to avoid pain and seek pleasure. So we have to go against that if we want to change and create self-confidence. But there's so much reward in doing that work. Self-confidence feels amazing. It's a state of being. Thoughts create feelings. Thoughts you think over and over again create beliefs. Beliefs create states of being. Thinking thoughts that create confidence and believing them is a skill that you can cultivate. But most of our beliefs are recycled, and that's another reason we get stuck. We don't even realize how much self-doubt and anxiety our beliefs produce because we've always thought that way. We don't have that separateness from our thoughts. We don't know that a lot of our thoughts are just lies. Familiar and efficient thinking is almost comfortable in its predictability. So here's a few examples of some past recycled thoughts you might struggle with. Failure is weakness. If I fail at something, then I'm a failure as a person. I'm different from people who are super successful. I don't know how, so I can't learn. They are different, special, privileged, or lucky. Rejection is the worst thing that can happen. Other people's opinions define me. The less risk I take, the better. Confidence is something you either have or you don't have. How I look, money, upbringing, or intelligence is determined by my confidence. I'm a victim and damaged. I'm not good enough. Fear means you aren't confident. Confident people are comfortable and don't feel afraid. Something is wrong with me because my child struggles with addiction. But you aren't stuck with those kinds of thoughts. You can create new thoughts instead of recycling those old ones. And when you do that, you will create more confidence. And when you create more confidence, you will set more goals, take more actions, talk to more people, take more risks, achieve more, believe beyond your current capability and capacity, live into your future, know you can count on yourself. I used to have some version of all of the recycled thoughts I just read to you. Once I changed my thoughts about self-confidence in myself and understood how to create it, I started taking those actions that I just read to you. Before that, I played it very safe. I didn't really take risks or go after big goals because I didn't believe in myself. I wasn't confident in my ability to follow through or make decisions. I didn't know that my thoughts weren't true, so I believed them. I had no idea that I could be afraid but do something anyway. I truly believe that people who accomplished great things never doubted themselves. I didn't know you can have doubt come up and then change it. I thought I was stuck with it. But we aren't fixed. We have an amazing ability to grow and change. You aren't stuck. You aren't stuck in that quicksand. You don't have to keep feeling the way you feel every day. You can create whatever you want. You just have to be willing to do something different and take on new beliefs to do it. And it's really only as hard as you make it. So I want to give you some examples of beliefs that you can create. What others think about me is 100% about them. I was made for this. I'm the perfect parent for my child. Fear is no big deal. The worst that can happen to me is a feeling. I have my own back. My potential is limitless. Failure earns success. The better I fail, the more confident I become. Worry only pretends to be necessary. So what? What I make it mean is the worst that can happen. Actions increase capability, and capability increases confidence. So moving forward increases self-confidence. Massive action helps increase self-confidence. Do the things you're scared to do. Keep doing them. Make decisions. Honor those decisions. Define your own opinions. Figure out what's right for you. Give up on outside approval. Self-confidence comes from only needing your own approval. Learn by doing. If you don't know something, learn by taking action to find out how. Don't compare yourself. Question everything you believe about yourself. Question every thought you have. Create new intentional thoughts and beliefs about yourself. Have your own back. Be there for yourself. I think that's a great place to end today. So go create some self-confidence now that you know how to do it. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want to learn more about my work, go to heatherrosscoaching.com. If you want to help other parents who are struggling with a child's addiction, you can do it 2 different ways. First, you can share the podcast with them directly, or you can share it on your social media. Second, you can leave a review. Talk to you next week.